Welcome, I'm Scott Drake. My guest is the tax lawyer Robert Wood, writing in Forbes at Forbes.com. How do you opt out of IRS voluntary disclosures? My guest, Rob Wood, is partner at Wood LLP in San Francisco. Hi, Rob. How's it going?
Good, Scott.
Offshore voluntary disclosure, something that announced in February of this year, gives people, I guess, two courses of action. It's sort of amnesty for saying, yes, I do have an offshore account, but some people are kind of looking at this or scrutinizing this and looking at other ways to, well, actually looking for ways to get out of it.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive, I think, but when you talk about getting into a program and then immediately getting out of it. But I mean, that is what's going on. The Offshore Voluntary Disclosure Program goes until the end of August 31 of 2011. That's the deadline. There is now an ability to extend that deadline until November 29th of 2011, but you have to get in before the August deadline and then ask the IRS for an extension. There's a way to do that. But the opting out that you're asking about, Scott, is somewhat different, related, I guess. It's getting into the program, which is rigid and has certain penalties, notably 25% of the account value, basically the historic value, the highest account value in your foreign account or accounts. And if you find, because of whatever your circumstances are, that 25% penalty seems too high, seems unfair, which in some cases it is, then you can ask to be taken out of the program and basically to be audited, and it gives the IRS and you a chance to be more flexible in terms of striking a deal.
Mm-hmm. So there are, I mean, as you said, it is counterintuitive. There are some opportunities for opting out. I mean, again, why would somebody find that so beneficial? Because of the penalty aspect of this, it just seems like it wouldn't make any sense at all.
Well, but it can. I mean, and an example would be someone who has a large amount of money. I mean, just to make the numbers big, let's say they have $10 million overseas. And they move to the U.S. And they're a citizen of the country of X, and they moved to the U.S. 2 years ago, and get a green card, and so they're a U.S. resident, but all of their wealth was derived when they, before they ever stepped foot in the U.S. And then they start filing, because they're a U.S. permanent resident, they start filing U.S. tax returns. And their accountant, they go to an accounting firm, but the accountant doesn't tell them about disclosing a foreign account, doesn't tell them about FBARs, and in my experience, that's a common factual scenario. And then they want to basically, get in the system appropriately in the U.S. They want to fix any mistakes, and so they apply for this amnesty, and the program would say, well, 25% of their account balance, $10 million in my example, so $2.5 million is the penalty. But in reality, it may be that by not reporting their foreign account, they didn't pick up a few $1,000s of interest income or something. It might be very small. They might be trying to do the right thing, and the IRS on an individualized basis might say that you get a $10,000 penalty. That is, incidentally, the $10,000 penalty for failure to file an FBAR is for a non-willful failure. So in my example, it seems like the worst that might happen might be something like 2 years of $10,000 penalty, so $20,000 versus $2.5 million. So I could make a good case to that client. Look, why don't you opt out, because it's much more likely that we can get a better deal that way.
I guess the big message here in closing is that most people probably can't make that determination on their own. It is important to seek professional advice from people like you, Rob.
Yeah, well, yeah, me or someone. I think that's true. It's hard, and I think, unfortunately, I gave I think an easy case for doing this. There are circumstances where people think that their facts are appealing and that they should opt out, but then when you sort of look at it closely, their exposure is far too great. If it's a U.S. person, for example, who has born and raised in the U.S. and has been sending money to some foreign country for a long time and sort of actively doing things, it's probably a very different picture.
You can find Robert Wood as the tax lawyer in Forbes and at Wood LLP in San Francisco. Rob, thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching.